Hello and welcome to Books and Beer. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Luke, and this.
Oh wait,
There he is.
Taylor.
Back again. It's Stephen Taylor. How are you doing, mate? Are you keeping
I'm
well?
doing very well. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. It's nice to have been doing this so long now that I can start having sort of things have changed. You've done a bit more writing. You've released another book. We can have another conversation about it. It's nice to be able to do that.
Definitely, it's a good few months on actually, and yeah, it feels like lots been happening since then.
It has, because we were just saying before we went live that the first one we couldn't do because the thing cut out. There was a technicals, and which is why we do books really, because there's very little technical things in that, isn't it? It's just typing into a computer, and there's not too much stuff. Anyway, but that was January. I remember that was like the start of January. So what, seven months ago?
Oh yeah, lots been going on since then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Before we get any further on, I'm going to open my Hobgoblin. I found these for I know you're not a beer drinker, but I found these, and I didn't know Hobgoblin did an IPA, and I bought it per chance at the weekend. It's really nice. There you go.
Your selective choice for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I've brought one up with me. I'm going to have one later with my dinner. That'll do us on a Wednesday.
I've still got the lemonade.
Yeah, fair enough. But I tell you what, when I finally do make it to Norwich, we'll have to meet for a cider.
I might go for something a little bit more harder on that.
Yeah,
it might require a tad more.
Yeah, 2 lemonades.
Yeah, that's the one.
So I'm halfway through, well, a bit less than halfway through Sport of Kings, your latest in your Danny Pearson series. I think it's the third one I've read in the series in total, which probably makes it one of my most read series, because normally I just read one or two, and then there's so many books, isn't there? I just sort of pop around. But
the fifth book and the third one you wrote.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it, mate. It's different. There's a different vibe. It's set in a different place. It's the same characters, obviously, but the pace has changed, I think. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, just wanted to mix it up a little bit, just to keep the books. I mean, obviously they are the same, but I don't want every book wants to have a different feel to it, I think, or a different way. You don't want to read the next book and think, oh, it's just a stereotypical copy of the last one. So I do try and mix it up with the bad guys, but this one's got a bit more of a buddy feel to it. It involves Danny getting together with his ex-SAS guys as they go to help another one of his SAS guys who's disappeared. So it's there's a lot of banter, a lot of fun involved in it. It's like a proper roller coaster.
Yeah.
Charging around type of book. So
it is. It's fun, and I was interested in the setting because it's set in like a small, sleepy coastal town. I don't know if you'd even call it a town, like
it's not even a town. But Sea Pauling is a lot of it's set in, and it's pretty much a road.
Oh, right.
I know it very well. As I said to you before, I used to have a static caravan place down there. It's got a beautiful beach, Sea Pauling. Absolutely, goes for miles. And yeah, I know it very well. And there's always been rumoured that the Norfolk coast has a lot of drug smuggling problems, and boats bringing stuff in. And I wanted to mix it up with that. So it's Danny Pearson gets involved with drug smugglers and some lords of the gentry who run a particularly dodgy hunt.
I've just got to it's just coming clear what that dodgy hunt, that sort of hunt is.
Yeah, they're hunting people. So they and they're mixed up in drugs and stuff as well. So it moves along at a cracking pace.
Yeah.
You definitely won't be able to get bored of that one.
No, not at all. I've enjoyed it thus far. But I mean, I remember Steve Moore and I were having a conversation, I think during the launch party we did a couple of weeks back, where we talked about thrillers that weren't set in cities, or the fact that most thrillers were set in sort of urban locations. And you've set a lot of yours in cities, London and New York and wherever. But this is the first one, and I know Moscow, in fact, features in
In
one
the
of
new
them, and
one,
it's going to feature in the next one, isn't it? But I mean, it was it more difficult to sort of bring that tension to somewhere that's a bit more sleepy and a bit more rural, or
no, I kind of like the idea of everything's looks okay on the surface. It's a nice sleepy countryside town, but underneath it all, there's all this drug smuggling and killing and all this going on as well. With a fair amount of that, and I just like the idea of the Lord of the Manor is actually not a very nice guy at all.
yeah,
Him and a lord from who planned this hunt, and also the backers behind the whole drug smuggling outfit.
I see. So that's the link between those two. Without obviously, we don't want to give too much away.
We don't, because it takes a big twist from there. There is someone above the whole lot of them that comes into play later on. Is actually way more sinister than everyone else in it. You haven't got to that bit yet.
No, I haven't. But it's also interesting in a way because your previous books were like quite gangster-ish. They were the bad guys were criminals, and Danny Pearson was like a vigilante almost, sort of against the criminals. But in this one, it's got a sort of an anti-establishment sort of twist to it, hasn't it? Because the bad guys are in power. You know, they're lords and they're gentry, and there's a police commissioner or a police head of police or whatever his title is. You know, was that a conscious thing? You just thought, oh, hold on a minute, I want to twist some expectations with regards to the villain as well.
A little bit of the idea of people who were born into power, born into money. You know, kind of got that feeling that they can get away with anything because they're above everyone else, and they obviously don't. But
not when Pearson's around.
No, I mean, there are a couple of other books. I mean, you haven't. I don't think you've read Beware the Chinaman.
No, I haven't. That's what I've not read.
Beware the Chinaman's actually, they're not gangsters they're up against. It's like a big organisation that are trying to change the world by eco power and stuff like that.
Right.
They're actually devising a way of generating the war in the Middle East between the oil companies and countries to do, so they can move in, take over the world with eco power. And
so it's got a sort of conspiracy element to it.
Yeah, it's a big conspiracy type theory, and they don't know who's behind it all. So that mixes that one up quite a lot.
I like that idea.
And Alive Until I Die is two different government organisations battling against each other. So it's one guy who doesn't want his organisation in the government that's about to be canned. So he's doing everything he can to manipulate it so that he stays up there. So they do mix about. So yeah, they're not all gangsters.
I find with mine that I sort of have an interest in something, and that becomes the thing of the book. You know, like it could be to do with the play, sort of to do with a particular issue. You know, sort of. So with New York, it was all about serial killers, and I sort of went on a bit of a researching serial killers, learning about all these things and putting some things in, some not, you know. And now I wouldn't want to write another book that's about serial killers because I've done that now, and I'm sure I will at some stage.
Exactly
it's a big topic, but
yeah, I mean, I do find all the green energy stuff fascinating. You know, how people, and I did start doing some research into that, how you can extract hydrogen from seawater and all these different solar panel type stuff and technologies in that, which because I find it interesting in any way.
Yeah.
How can I twist that into a story where obviously there's power in solar. Green energy is the future, so there's a lot of power involved in having that technology and owning it. And if you were to want to take over and be in power across the world, you would want to get rid of the oil industry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of branched off that. So I find that all interesting. Vodka and jelly deals, I just like the idea of the Russians and they're just no such baddies.
And they're coming back, aren't they, in the book you're writing currently? So the next one to come out.
The daughter of the Russians in the first book has come of age and reigniting the empire, and she wants to wreak revenge on the man who killed her father. So yeah, that's going quite well. That should be out in the autumn, or if I can get it actually finished sooner, it will come a bit quick. Could be September, you never know. But it's on pre-order now for October the 31st. But I'm hoping to bring that forward a couple of months.
Yeah,
if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing the same thing as me. Like, I've had this Riga, my next one, on pre-order for months, and it's close to being done. It's getting there, but it's also the case of I want it to be sort of you don't just want to rush it and push it out. You want to do it properly, because once it's once it's done.
If it takes till October, it takes till October.
Yeah,
But I'm trying to get a little bit more organised with my books. So
what?
That's a strange word that we don't do very often.
Yeah.
So, I've actually got the cover done well in advance. I've got all the covers for Blood Runs Deep.
Yeah.
Beautiful cover the guy done with
that's really good.
Yeah, Moscow's Red Square, with all done in a nice red, so that I could put it all out properly as a pre-order. So I'm already thinking of the next one to get that ordered for the covers. And I think I'm going to do the next one in Australia. In Sydney, Australia.
Oh, nice.
And that's actually, you said that. I think last time we done one of these, you said, "Oh, you ought to do a book in Australia." And I've been thinking about it. Actually, yeah, that'd be quite cool. So I'm going to do the next one in Sydney, I think.
Very nice, because one of Steve and I's is set in Sydney, so we'll have to have some
crossover.
Right.
Set you free.
Yeah. We should have been organised and discussed, and there could have been a chase scene that sort of went.
I managed to get the book cover done early, but that's about it. I won't get too excited.
I love it. We've got a couple of comments just to say hello to those people at home. Andrew, how are you doing, mate? Cheers, he says.
Andrew.
Cheers, mate. Here's to you. And Alison is in. Hi, Alison. How are you doing? Good to see you. And she goes on to say that vodka and jellied eels is my favourite. So
thank you, Alison.
There you go.
It is a big favourite, that one. It does everyone seems to love vodka and jellied eels.
And it interests me in that was because you wrote them out of sequence, didn't you? Which is
I did, which is at the time probably wasn't very well thought out. But it was a short extract in Execution of Faith that I wrote, where he has a chat with his uncle and he talks about the story of vodka and jellied eels. I just loved it so much. I thought, oh, that's got to be the next book. And I wrote it. And then, of course, the timeline goes back because it's kind of where everything starts. So for a while, it was book number 2. And then everyone started getting confused because, this is book number 1 or 2. So I flipped them around and made it book number 1. So it reads through and it seems to work better that way. And everyone seems to be happy with it.
I think it's a great idea. Like I've said before, that I quite like the idea of putting a book between Kathmandu and Hong Kong in my Leo and Alyssa series, because about 6 months elapses. And there's quite a lot of interesting stuff that happens in that time. One character gets this sort of comeuppance, and we learn about it in Hong Kong in a sort of storytelling way. Like introspective way. Yeah. But we don't see that, and I think that could be quite a nice little cut to do.
Quite a good one to do. I mean, it's like anything. You're an indie author like myself, so when you start this thing, nobody tells you how to do it.
No.
There's no manual that says, "Oh, this is how to be an indie author and how to release your books." So you do just sort of bumble along for the first few. I must admit,
the first few,
maybe more than a few, but I do feel a lot more organised with it now, and you fall into a groove where it's got a nice pattern and everything just works through. But the first few are definitely wing and a prayer job. You don't really know what direction you're going in or anything. So it's quite nice that it's all working out quite well now.
Yeah, like you've done really well to have 5-6 books in just over 2 years or something like that, isn't it? Since the
just I
publication
think
of the
it's over
first
two and
one.
a half. So
I think we
before,
were about the same time, within about 3 or 4 months of each other publishing the first one.
the one I'm writing now is book 9 because I've got 3 shorts as well, and that'll be 9 books in 3 years. So that's been
3 years, yeah, wow.
quite good. I say the shorts. I do like the shorts. I'm going to write some more shorts.
Yeah.
They only take about a couple of hours to read. They're not great, but they're immensely popular. I actually do loads and loads of them, and there's the ones, obviously the free one that just sits in the charts on top 5, number 1, number 2 of the action adventure free books. It's been there since the day it was released. It just never moves, and every day it just ticks and people buy it, and don't buy it, it's free. So if you want it, go and get one. So they're really fun to write. The last one, the Timekeeper's Box, is a great rip-roaring adventure. It's actually a bit like Sport of Kings. It's got these ex-SAS buddies, and they're just hurtling around London looking for this box that one of them nicked from Afghanistan. So
it's a really good idea, actually. I think I need to do something, because I've done the one sort of short one, Kotao, and then I did one for the series I'm doing with Steve as well. And you're right, they were just a pleasure to do, because
it's fun.
You start and you don't run out of steam till the end, because they're short. I think as you were saying, like with a longer novel, it's a bit of a grind sometimes to do the first draft, isn't it? It's hard work.
It is. I probably find that quite hard as well, because all my books there is no lull in momentum. There's no quiet patch. There's no sit down, have a cup of tea and a meal bit. There's every other chapter is just explosive. Yeah. And to keep that momentum up and get the whole story to come full circle and tie up neatly, with a few surprises as well.
That's it.
It takes quite a lot to do, and that middle section, you're always thinking, I've got to get this part from the beginning to this part at the end, and it is quite tricky. It's quite tricky to keep up that kind of pace. But it's kind of the pace that I'm starting to get known for, and it's the pace everyone loves about the books. So it's not, you can't really go off for a wispy willowy walks along a riverside. It's got to have the
without someone shooting at him.
Yes.
No, I like that about your books. There are, and mine aren't quite as fast paced as yours, I think, because I do have a few scenes where there's a bit of dialogue and they're figuring something out. They're doing something which solves the case, something mental rather than physical, and that's a challenge to do that, but yours are it's just boom 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 straight in, and I think that's great.
The starts are always the same as well, because I always, every start is explosive in every book. So I like the first 2 chapters to grab you by the neck and hurl you into the book, because just really grab you, and that is hard, because I keep thinking, how can I do the next book? How is he gonna, from set 1 get pulled into something so dramatic, and you've got to keep that up as well, so that's quite tricky.
Do you start then by writing the first scene?
Yeah, literally.
Open the laptop, go.
Open the laptop, bang. And it doesn't have to be related to the rest of the story, but it has to be something that really grabs you. Vodka and Jelly Deals was a mission in the SES where he leaves. What did Execution of Faith have? Something really explosive. I even forget what they are now. Where the Time was another one that had some sort of mission he was on. Yeah, so it's the first 2 chapters are real explosive. Sport of Kings just dives straight into the story, pretty much. That one. But it gets you going quite quick with his friend on the beach and evading capture and stuff.
Yeah.
Too much about that. People have got to find out for themselves on that one. It's quite an adventure. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Let's pop over to the comments and see who's around. Oh, Fiona's jumping in. Hi, Fiona. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
Alison is saying she can't remember the narrator of Vodka and Jelly Deals, but it was bloody fantastic. I think I can't remember if it was that one I heard, but it was one of them. It was great. He did a great job.
a guy called Lee Beddoes did that for me from Abbey Sound. He's done all the book. He's now actually halfway through Sport of Kings doing the audio book for that. So we're nearly up to date now. I've got 4 of them up. Just got to get this one up, and then he'll do the new one when that's ready.
And you intend to release them ebook, whatever, and then ebook, paperback, all those things, and then he send it straight to him to do.
It's a big investment, the audio side of things, but I've done all the others, and I don't want to let anyone down. As soon as I did the first 2 in audio on there, I already had people asking me for when's the next one's going to be up. So again, I'm trying to get a bit more organised and get them. I don't think I'm going to get them all done at exactly the same time, but about a month or so after the next one, it should be released. But,
and it's only a big it's less of an investment as you go forward, because you'll only
Yeah,
probably write 3 books a year or 4 books a year. You know?
Yeah. So when that first one, when you've got to catch up, it's a little bit hefty.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know that in terms of it's a.
But he's done a fantastic job. I mean,
he has.
You've got to appreciate the time. It's in the studio time it's taken him to do each book. So it takes him about 5 weeks, something like that, to do it. So it's quite a bit of recording time to sort it all out. He's done a great job. Very pleased.
He has. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely recommend, if you listen to, if you're watching this and you like audiobooks, go and have a look at them on Audible, aren't they?
All
on
Audible,
iTunes, I think. Yeah,
iTunes and Audible.
Yeah. DC, good to see you, man. I hope you're well. He's popped in a previous Books and Beer guest / victim / contributor.
I watched all the Books and Beer, so I watched that one.
Oh, really? Wow! Not only
sometimes I watch them on catch up, but sometimes I try and catch them as they're going on. But big fan of the Books and Beer.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that, and it's nice to have you back on and be able to chat to you again. Ray's jumped in as well. Hi, Ray. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Fantastic. We've had we've got a really good little crew now coming on every sort of Wednesday afternoon. I like it. It's been really nice. So then you've got Blood Runs Thicker, Blood Runs Deep.
Blood Runs Deep.
Isn't it? That's it, which is the next one. And this, I was talking to you about this because there's a scene in it set in a Russian prison, isn't there?
There's quite a big section in the Russian prison.
So how do you go about researching, unless you've got a secret life of like an ex-KGB operative, or whatever?
Yeah. You fly out there
how
and
do you go about researching these things?
You do the best you can, really. I googled the prison that I can hardly pronounce the name because.
So it's a real prison. You've not just made it up. It is a real
prison in Moscow. It's a Moscow prison. All the places that I go are real districts in Moscow and real places. And I just Googled as much as I can. Not an easy one to Google, but you got some pictures and bits to give you the flavour of what it's like.
Yeah.
That's quite a tough one. That was another thing that's quite tough, is I set it in Moscow, and it's quite a tough one to. If you've never been there and you're trying to Google it and get information on to write it and give people the feel of what it's like, it was quite a tough one to do. But I've enjoyed it. It's been good to do the different setting. I'm like yourself. I do like to go off places and set them in different places rather than all. There's a couple in London, but there's a lot of the others do go off to New York, Bahamas, all the place, all over the place.
I didn't realise that at first with yours, because I read a couple of them and they had all been set in London, and then I read, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the one where he goes to New York on the tail of a terrorist.
Yeah,
that's Execution of Fate. And then I was like, oh wow, because that scene's brilliant. The bit in London, because there's 2 or 3 scenes in London, in New York, and I thought, wow, they were really, really well sort of informed. Are some of these inspired by places that you've been in the past? Have you travelled to New York? I know you said you've not been to Moscow, but that's not particularly.
New York. I haven't been, but I did. I did do a lot of Google Earthing and a lot of Google. All the places are where they are. So in the book, if you went there, you would find the bank on the road and the.
Yeah.
I think you've got to describe it, haven't you? You've really got to try and get the pictures and get your mind set as if you were standing on the road and, describing it. So it's. But I did enjoy that one. Execution of Faith. I had the bad guy in that one. Not the actual bad guy who was driving it, but there was a character, like a mercenary character called Snipe in
Yeah,
that.
oh, he's brilliant, Snipe. Yeah.
Crazy,
I bet,
crazy
is there
guy.
part of you that regrets? Oh, I'm going to try and say this without spoiling it, because I think a few people just put like a yes or a me in the comments if you've read Execution of Faith, and you'll know what we're talking about. Is there part of you that regrets that final scene, which means that he can't then be in other books? I've given it away. That means he can't come back. 'Cause he could have been a nemesis, couldn't he, throughout the series, hanging over the.
He is, and he would be great, wouldn't he? And, yeah, he is.
Or maybe there's some way you could have,
But you
thought
haven't
one
read
thing
Snipe,
and
the short Snipe, have you?
no, I haven't. That's before, isn't it? That's set prior
No,
to.
that's his brother.
Right. Okay.
Snipe's brother escapes from jail and wants to take revenge on Danny for killing his brother. So
Oh gosh, no! I thought that was before. God.
No.
Oh, so you've answered your question there. So it is hanging over him. It could come back at some,
well,
it could.
probably not because he dies as well.
Sorry, mate.
I think that another brother might be pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
He was such a great character that I thought, well, he can have a psychotic brother who's very similar. So yeah, I came back. That was good. So
I really like that. I love the. And one thing I loved about that story is you made us believe he died about a dozen chapters earlier, or whatever, however many chapters.
Quite a way earlier, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and you almost forget about him because I listened to it on audio, and the way you listen to audio is, I listen to it is half an hour a day. So it was about a week ago that he died. So then when he came back, I was like, oh no, how's this happened?
I'm glad that worked because that was what I was going for, because it was always in my mind that was going to, there was the finale was going to be that finale that was decided way back. But I can't say much about that because it gives that away.
Yeah, I think we've given away too many spoilers. I think we've given away enough that makes it just sound like a great book. I don't think anyone listening to this would go, I've not, I don't need to watch it now. I don't need to read it now. Sorry,
Yeah, but that was actually the first book I ever wrote. Obviously, the second, Execution of Faith was the first one that I wrote. That took me a long time to write. That was when I decided I was about to turn 50 and thought, I've always wanted to write a book. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
And off you went.
Everyone just looked at me like, yeah, right.
Look at him go.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant! And you did it, and you've now written several books, so that's fantastic. How many books will you have written this year then, or will you have released this year?
There'll be two released if this one gets out September, which will mean probably I'll be on the next one, I won't get out for Christmas.
Yeah,
I have all these wonderful plans that I'm going to write. I get 3 books out in a year, and it's never going to happen. That'll probably end up about February, March time.
It's a real hard one. I intended that with this book, Riga, as I say, but they just take so much longer than you anticipate. But for me, it's other projects as well. Like the audio books, like the books that I'm doing with Steve, all of these sorts of things. Sort of the way that if you were just doing one book and seeing that from start to finish, I think it could be done quite quickly. But it's all the other stuff, isn't it? That it is. Takes the time.
For me, it's just running. I mean, it is a business at the end of the day. It's just running the whole thing. So you're trying to market yourself and advertise yourself, and then do the writing in it. It's and if I'm not feeling it, I can't feel it. I'm not someone who can just sit down and say, yeah, I'm going to write 2,000 words every day and you've done X amount of time. I mean, I haven't actually written much this week because if it's not there and you can't, you've just got to wait till the ideas flow, until you're in the flowing mood to write.
Yeah, absolutely.
I admire some, people that we know. I mean, Steve Moore and stuff like that. He just seems to sit down and start going. That's it.
No, he does. When he goes, I think he's like a wind-up toy, you know, one of those clapping toy. You know, once he gets wound up, he just goes for ages. You know,
they're like more in a week than I write about 6
Sorry,
months.
Steve, if he's listened to this and finds that offensive, you know.
I'm sure he'll forgive you.
Yeah.
Each to their own. Everyone has their own way of writing. Don't they?
Exactly. But the thing I do like about it actually is that now I haven't written new words for several months because I've been doing all the other stuff, the editing, whatever else. And I'm quite looking forward to getting on with the next writing project. So I ordered this week a stack of books all set in Istanbul because that's my next location. And I wanted to see what other authors have made of the city in their books. So I've got about 5 or 6, you know, but I'm going to put a picture on my Instagram of them actually, of all sorts of eras, you know, going back about 100 years. One of them is by Grey and Green in the 1930s, you know. And I'm just going to read through those, and that's my next task. I'm going to read through those, take some notes of great ideas of sort of places within the city and all that, you know, in the same way you were talking about research on Google Earth and Google Images and these sorts of things.
You're saying I like it to be authentic. All right, the story might not be realistic, but I like the places to be authentic. You know, to get the feel of it, to really, if you're going to describe somewhere, you need to feel yourself as being there. And I do like to give people the hints of it, which is good because I've actually had, I mean, some of the reviews and the comments are very kind, and they're very nice, and they say, oh, obviously the author obviously knows a lot about the place. No, I don't. But that's the ultimate compliment, because
it is
they feel like you've transported them there, and that's I do find that quite chuffed when you get a few comments like that, because you've reached your aim, you've got what you set out to do.
Yeah. I agree with you completely. I love that. It's one of my favorite compliments actually, is when someone says it sort of transported you, or it's told it's. And I think, because I'm a big traveler, I'm a big lover of travel, I think that for me is I think that's a really cool thing. I like that. That's one of my aims actually. yeah,
definitely.
Have a quick jump over to the comments. Ray says Google Earth is second to feet on the ground. Yeah, it absolutely is. And in some ways, actually, if you've, I mean, going there is great, but you can get more from Google Earth in the sense that you can go back and look at it at any time.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
You're not actually going to write a book about Moscow in Moscow, or it's very unlikely that you will. You might be able to, but I mean, it's unlikely, you know. So if you think, oh, I wish I knew how long that street was, or what other shops were on that corner and that corner, or whatever it might be, you know, that's where things like Google Earth are absolutely spot on, isn't it?
It's a fantastic thing, really. Fantastic research device. Yeah. Brilliant.
That's it. And Andrew says, spoiler alert. Oh, sorry. Cover your ears, Andrew, if you've not read some of Stephen's books already. But I think we've given a good taste of them without giving anything away too much.
I'm not very good at holding the secrets back.
No, I think it's good. I think it's a hint without it sort of going too far. Oh, brilliant. Fiona says she has a Russian pen friend who lives in Moscow. Amazing.
Yeah, I hope I don't offend anyone.
Yeah, but that's another thing, actually. That's a good point, because I write often about characters of other cultures and other places and different backgrounds and all sorts of things, and I don't really think about it. Do you ever think about whether it could be, any of your things could be offensive? You know, there's loads of really nice Russian people, other than some of the people in your book.
Yeah,
and Russian and nasty. Actually, you know, like,
I've got some very good guys in there, good Russians in there who help as well. They're not all.
That's important, isn't it, to keep that balance. Yeah.
You do have to bear a little bit of thought to make sure you're not, going to super offend anyone. You know, I think the trickiest one was Execution of Faith, because it had hints of ISIS in it. I didn't want to go too deep into it. I didn't want to invoke everyone's massive thoughts. So it's hints of it, extremism that was under the guise of something else, you know. But I don't think any of the other books would really offend any particular people in places. It's not the aim. They're just fun books.
And I think that's quite clear in that how sort of, you know, in reality, all of your characters would have died in the first or second book. Yeah. You know, like the fact that it's like the Bond sort of style thriller, isn't it? He shakes himself off, like, the building explodes, he dusts himself down and walks away.
Born mixed with
that
whole lot. Yeah, you can't really leap off buildings, and you know. But it's just fun. I mean, the whole purpose of I think I even say in the blurb a lot. They're just books that don't take themselves seriously. They're not set out to be. They're just set out to be great fun, fast paced. You know, good read.
Yeah,
just enjoy it.
That's it. And that's an important thing to say. I think they're entertainment first, aren't they? And if someone gets another something else from them, like I'd like to think that my books have an element of encouraging someone to want to see something. They're all quite positive. They've got quite a sort of positive and optimistic edge on them, but I think that's because that's who I am. I'm quite positive and optimistic anyway, you know. But you don't need to do that to enjoy them. But I think that's a sort of added wrinkle in the story.
Well, at the end of the day, they're all a piece of us, whatever you like.
That's a good way to think about it.
It's all a part of yourself, isn't it? So
yeah, because if you tried to write a story in my world, it would be completely different, and if I tried to write one of yours, it would be completely different. So
it's just a little piece of you. I've got a very sort of little. I like the humour side of things, and you know that little things amuse me, so they end up going in the book. You know? So,
because yours are actually there's quite a lot of. They're quite. There is a humour, like the way the characters speak is. There's a real sort of, almost like a band of brothers sort of idea between them. You know, they're at one point they're saving each other's lives, then they're sort of taking the mick out of each other. You know, it's there's like that double.
There's quite a few bits in there like that. They're all. And they're fighting their way out of a particular area. I won't go too much into it, but one of them gets his hold on a crossbow, and they're all taking the mickey out of him because he's got this crossbow, calling it a toy. And he said, "No, I want to take it home for the kids." So he kills a few people with his crossbow because he likes it. And there's another one where one of them's got to take a sniper shot, and they're all taking bets whether he's going to do it or not, and taking the mick out of him.
Yeah.
So I put him off so he win the bet. So,
I quite like that idea that a book can have those real light-hearted little twists though, and I think that's skill as a writer, to be fair, because a lot of the things you're talking about are on the face of it are quite difficult, dark issues, you know, like corruption and drug trafficking, and
there's some very dark points in there. There's torture and mutilation in it, and there's all sorts of stuff goes on. Some very very nasty pieces. But then I think I like to add a bit of a shock value. And there is some shock value as well, but you haven't got to it yet.
All right. Well, I'll
definitely say no more about that. I do like to kick in some serious blindsiders that you're not thinking about towards the end of the books.
And the other thing I've liked about your books, and this is a compliment, believe it or not, is that you are I'm not gonna name the book, is that you're not afraid to kill people. In a lot of books, and a lot of stories and a lot of films, someone's always saved at the last minute. But you know, they're always saved at the last minute. But in some of yours, it's like, oh, what? they're really dead. Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought he'd run in and save it. You know.
I do like to do that.
Yeah.
I like to keep you on your toes. Just sort of always think, is he going to make it out of this or not? Because they don't always.
Do you know when that? I mean, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I can't quite remember what your sort of process is. Whether you have a plan before, or whether you just sort of sit down and make it up as you go along, or whether you have a plan in your mind as you go in.
I have a very small plan. it's very vague. Sometimes it's more than others. Sport of Kings, I had that idea in my head quite a long time, actually, but even that morphed into something else further on, because I thought, well, how can you prolong this situation they're in? It only has so much legs before you have to escalate it to a different situation. So they do tend to morph quite a lot. And people who get killed, sometimes I just think, do you know what? It'd just be too cozy if they lived.
Yeah.
You can't have a guy like Danny Pearson who can have a happy ever after and whatever completely, because he needs the edge.
Yeah.
You need that edginess. I don't really want to turn him into sobbing into his beer. So, like quite a lot of people do with that. Their hero is so fraught with other issues that sometimes I think it's a little bit too much. So I like to give a little bit of it, but that gives him the edge. But I don't like to turn him into a complete wreck.
Yeah, because I noticed that in the earlier books, he has grieving the loss of his wife and child, and now in this book he's moved on, got a new partner, and that's a really nice sort of, or at least he's living with this girl, this lady.
Yeah.
That's a really nice sort of idea that he is sort of growing as a character.
He is, yeah.
Or not necessarily growing, but changing and getting over the things that held him back at the start,
There he is, but I'm not going to say much more about that. You need to read the rest of the book.
Oh, that's one of the things upcoming. Okay.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I will neither confirm or deny that things may change. Yeah.
No, but I just saw that first scene, those first couple of scenes. Was
she actually has lived longer than most people around him.
Yeah, he's going to struggle to get any more friends in the future, isn't he? When they keep dying in mysterious ways.
It's got Scott and Tom and Howard and the people who do appear through the books. So they're quite always pop up here, there, and everywhere. So I do like those. A lot of people like the character Scott, which is his very rich computer genius.
Oh yes, I remember Scott from one of the previous ones.
In a lot of books, and not in all of them. And then he's got some that he goes on missions with. There's a guy called Tom that appears in quite a few books, and he's an MI6 friend, and he's the secret agent, government man that only known as Howard. That pops up in most books as well. So he's got quite a few string of characters now that do continue to keep popping up.
Nice. Can you see then him always being the protagonist, or do you think you'll do a sort of spin-off? And because that's a common thing amongst authors, isn't it, to take a secondary character and then they have their own book? And I was talking about this last week actually on this show.
Think I will. I think I will keep going with the Danny Pearson for a while until it runs out of legs, if it does, or my head just runs out of ideas. But then will it ever? I don't know. There's so many things in this world you can throw someone into.
Yeah.
To say the whole thing's not supposed to be taken seriously. You look how many Riker books there are, and
no, there's no limitation on the things that you could have in the places you could take him and the problems he could face. Absolutely not.
It doesn't really matter. You just throw him into the situation. I love the character. I like the Danny Pearson character, and he's a great character. But I suppose at some point I will just desire as an author to write a different series.
Do you think when that happens, you would then just not necessarily draw a line under it, but just go and do something completely different, or would you sort of take?
I kind of got in my head. I thought get to 10 books and see how I feel. So the next one is the 6th. So do sort of 4 more books, and then if it just feels right to do a different character, then do a different character. But that will remain to be seen.
We will see. I mean, if it counts for sort of listener opinion, Alison says Scott could have his own little novella, and I think that's true. Actually, he's a great character.
He's
sort of
very
this computer genius that runs the world from behind, behind the screen of his laptop, wherever he happens to be.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's just the the tough genius. But
Yeah.
then you need again with a lot of these books to make them actually work and figure out. Sometimes you need the elusive genius or the friend who's a genius to actually solve a problem to get move forward. Otherwise, you're stuffed. I mean,
also, it would be unbelievable if Danny was also a computer genius and could speak 10 languages and could do this and could do that. You'd be like, no, he needs some support, doesn't he? Does it? Yeah.
They all have their own skills and attributes that you need to use.
100%. Yeah.
you need that down. But yes, it's just working with characters really to help the plot move along that comes to a conclusion. So, but as to how many, I've got 10 in my mind at the moment. To write.
Have you? So you've got 10 as the number, or 10 in terms of any.
Get to 10. I mean, the next one, as I said to you, I'm thinking of writing the next one in Sydney.
Yeah.
Haven't quite Sydney, Australia. Haven't quite figured the plot out on that, but I fancy something a diamond heist type plot.
Yeah.
With that, I've got to work on that. I've got to finish.
See, I like the way you do this, and I think that's a real cool thing, because I'm thinking of a heist book, because I've always loved heist films. The Italian Job being the pinnacle of those, and there's several other great heist films, and I would love for my characters to be part of that and to write that, and that's really exciting. That really excites me. The idea that I don't know how they play a part in it, whether they'd be trying to solve the heist or.
This is the tough part, though.
Yeah, because I don't want them to get away, because you're always on the. They're a goodie.
But how can they be involved in a bank heist?
Exactly, you're always on the team of the sort of thieves, aren't you? In those stories, you want them to get away.
Yeah, in Alive Until I Die, he does do a robbery. He's undercover, so he does a robbery with the people that they're trying to find out who's behind it all. So he gets embroiled in that and has to go along with it. So that's quite a good one. And then, in fact, Alive Until I Die was bonkers fast. I really I wrote that, and there's a lot of chapters in that where they're herring around London with car chases, and there's this big showdown in a building site with nail guns and all sorts. Yeah, it went on for ages. It was it was a good one. I really enjoyed writing that. It's very, very fast until I die. Yeah,
love it.
He nail guns someone through a plaster wall, which is quite nice.
Gosh, yeah. I know, I like it, and it's making me think there of that of that scene at the start of Casino Royale. The James Bond film when they're chasing through. It's one of the most fantastic scenes in a Bond film, I think, or even in a film, in an action film. Like,
when I first saw that, and they changed the Bond and saw that first with all the parkour and that amazing scene. That was absolutely fantastic bit of cinema. Can't be any words.
Cinema.
That's the one. Oh, the other lemonade. Yeah, fantastic bit of cinema. I really enjoyed that, and that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, because I just love all the Bond movies and the Die Hards and all that kind of stuff, and the Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snap. They're just fantastic films.
I can see that, actually, because the Lock, Stock have your sort of wit in them. The way you're.
His humour's great. I do really love them. Yeah, Guy Ritchie stuff.
Yeah, so. That's it. Whereas they probably have less action in terms of the running and chasing than yours do. But yeah, I think that's a great part of it. And you can name load of the one-liners from Lock, Stock and that. Once you've seen them, haven't you? You could they just come up when you.
I think
like
Lock,
cult
Stock and
film classics.
Snatch, I must have seen hundreds of times. Just seen. I just sit there and you think, oh look, it's on that channel tonight, and I'll watch it again. I mean, Snatch is an incredible movie for the funny stuff. It's just even thinking about it makes me laugh. Just the stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that goes on in it.
But it's got that sort of, your Harry Knight character is like directly out of that, isn't it? And I think is it Harry Knight?
Harry Knight, yeah.
Yeah, he could be. He could
London
walk into
accent.
either of those films and just be there, couldn't he? Like,
Yeah, he could. Yeah. Alongside Bricktop and
yeah,
all
that's
that.
exactly it. Yeah. That's almost how I saw him when I read when I read about him. Yeah.
I've just done a scene in a bakery in the new one, and I was trying to. This is the world of authors, anyway.
How can you kill someone in
I kill
a place?
It's not good. And I had this idea. It's because in a bakery, can you actually slice someone's head through a bread slicer? Turns out you can. So yeah, if you Google that, there's someone actually done an experiment because there was a film that tried it once. They're trying to put this dummy's head through a bread slicer. So it's amazing.
Like the thing.
It's amazing the things you find out when you're trying
Your
to.
Your Google search has got to be.
I'm surprised I haven't had a knock on the door right now.
Yeah, the sort of stuff you're looking for.
Yeah.
But I do love that in yours. There's the crazy little scenes of, I like that gym scene I was talking about in Execution of Faith. I can imagine you having been in the gym.
That's my gym.
It's like picking up like this weight and going.
That was set in my gym.
Yeah,
I go to the gym quite a lot, and that was my gym. And I was always going to have a gym scene to fight, a massive fight. There's so many lovely dumbbells and things you can hurl at people, and there's some great stuff in that. There's even a funny bit in that though, where the girl's jogging on the running machine. She has headphones on, and they're all chaos going on around her. She can't hear it because she's got her headphones playing. Yeah, so that
I enjoyed that. No, that was great. That was really, really cool. Oh no, they're fantastic though. They're great books. They're really, as you say, fast paced is the way to describe them. Really, it just doesn't stop, does it? They're just sort of relentless from beginning to end, and that's, I think, your was always your intention, I suppose.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the I didn't want. I've read a few good books, and some of them. I mean, the Riker books are quite good, Lee Charles books. But even as they've gone on, they tended to get slower and more. It just felt like he was trying to pack the book a little bit.
They're a bit longer, aren't they, than yours as well?
And I never wanted anyone to have the feeling that, it's just...
Come on, get on with it.
Yeah, get on with it, you know what I mean? And I just literally want someone to open it. And I do get... It must work because the comments on the reviews and stuff like that, people say picked up and couldn't put it down till they finished it. Because it's just, you've got to find out what happens next because it's all bang, 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 bang. So that was a desire, and it seems to work. That's how I wanted to write the series. It was just a crazy, insane, fast series, and I seem to have done it.
Yeah, you have. And if someone's watching this and they've never read one of your books, where is the best place to go? What's the first book to sort of search for, do you think?
I would go Vodka and Jelly Deals and just head straight to Amazon.
Vodka and Jelly Deals. I imagine you're probably the top search for Vodka and Jelly Deals.
Funnily enough, I didn't find any other books that are Vodka and Jelly Deals.
Someone's
strange. I don't know why. You would have thought there'd be hundreds of them.
Yeah.
We'll just put Stephen Taylor in, and you'll soon see us. They're all very similar covers. So if you see Vodka and Jelly Deals,
they look great.
Part of the series.
It is. That's the one I'm reading now, and that's one of the hardbacks, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the hardbacks. Very nice.
They look really, really cool. Yeah. I've got Kathmandu as one. I haven't done the rest of the series yet.
Yeah, I saw you show that a while back. I mean, they are great. Everyone's been getting into these hardbacks, and they look cracking. Really look good.
That's it, isn't it? That's the beauty. It just looks. They just look good. It's a nice sort of.
And thank you to all the people who bought them, because I've actually sold quite a few now, which I didn't think they would sell that much, because I do appreciate they are quite an expensive investment. You do have to really like the series, but the print costs are quite high, so it's very difficult for us to do them at a reasonable price. Mine are all $13.99, and believe me, I don't make a lot out of that.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? When they're $13.99 and you sell the ebooks for sort of £3, £4, whatever it might be, or $3, $4, But as you say, it's the print cost, and it's almost like a collectible thing. That's the idea of those hardbacks, isn't it? They're not for I don't think someone's going to buy a hardback having never heard of you. They're going to have read a few books and thought, I really like these. I'd like to give them on to someone, or I'd like to have some on my shelf or whatever.
I had one guy who bought the series, and he actually put a message on Facebook on one of the comments underneath that, I think I'm going to go back and order them. And I think he ordered all the hardbacks because he liked the series so much. And,
amazing.
Great thanks to him. And people like that amaze me. I'm so grateful that they do.
Yeah.
Because when I originally wrote the book, like most people, I wrote the book just because I wanted to prove to myself that I could. That was the only reason, just to prove that I could actually do it. And then I, weirdly enough, actually wrote one that people wanted to read. That's where it all kicked off from there. And I'm, very, very glad and grateful to everyone that it is going so well. And I am selling quite a substantial amount of books now, which is more than I ever thought that I would. So
it's fantastic, isn't it? And it's gratitude is I say this all of the time, that you're able to, this is able to be a job, because it could just be, as you say, a hobby and you'd get to spend a couple of hours a week doing it, or half an hour a night or whatever. But actually the fact that you can do this as a job, something as a, some kind of
fulfillment you get yourself as an author to actually write something and actually find there's so many people that are enjoying your work and want to buy your work and then buy the next one. And I've got people queuing up to buy the next one, which is
that's
mad.
It. Yeah, I feel that's totally the same. I'm like, I've not even released it. It's just a promise. It's there,
No, I had people before put the pre-order up. Just when's the next one? When's the next one? And that's just that's amazing. I'm blown away by that. So who knows?
Who knows exactly? Right. Let's have a look at these couple of comments before we sign off. Darren says that he has read Vodka and Jelly Deals and loves it. Darren, nice to see you, man. I hope you're keeping well.
Thank you, Darren.
And Alison's asking if it is going to be in hardback, which it is already. I think.
Oh, it's up there.
Yeah. If you go to Amazon, Alison, you'll find it there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, it's been fantastic to touch base with you again, to have this conversation. I like sort of having people back and being able to talk again. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and make sure, if you haven't read any of Steve's work, get over Amazon, your local Amazon store, and search Vodka and Jelly Deals or Stephen Taylor with a P, and you'll find him there. And he will. You'll be on one of these fast-paced adventures before you know it.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, that's it. Right, I'll be back next week for Books and Beer, which will be the last one before my summer break. I'm excited to tell you. I don't know if you saw it last week, Steve, but I'm having a few weeks off over the summer for just to chill. Because as we say, these sorts of things, I love doing them, but that it takes a long time to do them. The mailing list, the books, all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to have a few weeks of just relaxing.
Don't blame me, mate. I could have a few weeks off myself.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, last Books and Beer next week. Make sure you are here. And I think it will just be me. I think I'll just do one on my own to finish off sort of the season. Call it a season. I've already got some great interviews lined up for September, and I'll tell you more about them next week.
You can call seasons now, Luke. This is season one.
This is it. This is season 1, 2021 season 1, and then after the summer is 2021 season 2. You see? Perfect.
Brilliant.
Love it. So it's sounding more professional by the day, isn't it? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I'll have to get a flyer yet. Or a poster or something. Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, you guys and girls, for tuning in. It's been amazing to spend this time with you. I will see you again soon.
Great stuff. Nice